and welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, the show where coaches and coaches-to-be tune in to learn how to integrate mindset coaching tools and neuroscience-based techniques into their practice and grow and scale a coaching business they love. I'm your host, Lara Young, founder of the Mindset Coach Academy, author of 52 Adventures to Change Your Life, award-winning business owner, coach and coach trainer. Tune into this podcast each Friday, free on all the podcasting apps, and click to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, mindset is everything. So this week in the Mindset Coach Certification Program, we've been running a live virtual retreat. We have a couple of these weeks in the program where it's more intensive training. So we get together for 3 hours, three to 4 hours a day for 4 days in our retreat weeks. And at the moment, of course, we're doing them virtually. Normally, when there's not a pandemic on, we can all get together in person. And I'm really looking forward to having that happen again. But in these retreats, what we're really focusing on in this week has been really diving more deeply into the diagnostic tools that we use to really help us understand our clients, to really get a handle on where they are, to understand their behaviours, to understand all the intricate details that we don't know about them so that we can then be able to use the tools, the techniques that are going to have the best effect, that are going to have the most impact and the most lasting impact for change. Now, I think a lot of coaches and a lot of coaching programs really miss out this step. They don't really spend enough time doing the diagnostic work, really getting inside the client's model of the world to understand not only what the presenting problem is or where they want to be, but how they've arrived at that place. You know, how are they doing the problem? How are they maintaining the behavior, the habits, the thoughts, the emotions, the patterns that are perpetuating that problem or keeping them stuck, keeping them where they are now? And the reality is, of course, that we know that information is everywhere. We can Google anything these days. If we've got a problem, we go straight to the search engine and we can find the answer to just about everything and anything. So recently I had a blockage in my washing machine. What did I do? Googled it. Was very proud of myself, of course, for being able to take the bottom off and clean out the filter and do all the things I needed to do, as my trusty YouTube instructor showed me. Put it all back together and it was working brilliantly. Need to make a birthday cake. What do? Google it and we find a recipe. So what's really interesting for me as a coach is that, you know, people know a lot of times what it is that they need to do to achieve their goals, whether that is starting a business, whether it is, making a cake, whether it is homeschooling children. I mean, there are so many resources available to us on the internet. And yet, even though we know what we need to do, weight loss is another great example. Eat less or eat more healthily and exercise more. We know at the intellectual level what we need to do, but are we actually doing it? The weight loss industry is $1 billion industry. So even though people have information, there are other things that are holding them back from the success they desire, from achieving their goals. And so very often, I mean, sometimes, yes, not having the right information or not knowing how to do something can be an issue. But invariably, it's not. Invariably, it is something else that is going on that is preventing our clients from actually achieving the goals that they want to achieve. There's something else going on, either at the conscious or the unconscious level, that is holding them back from the success they desire. Now, sometimes it will be a belief about what is possible for them. So they don't believe that it's possible. Or they've made a decision that they can't do something. When we make that decision, it becomes hardwired as a belief for us, because if we can't do something, if that's what we tell ourselves, then are we even going to attempt it? Probably not, right? You're probably not even going to give that a go. And so those beliefs can really inhibit and limit our potential and our clients' potential from even starting to take the action, from even moving in the direction of where we need to go. And so understanding and uncovering those beliefs is really powerful source of information for us as coaches in helping our clients to remove those beliefs, to change those beliefs, and then to move forward. The other things that we've got running on, of course, are those habitual patterns and strategies that we use, the habits that we use, that really don't deliver the results that we desire. And yet for some reason, we keep in that rut. We keep in that mode of doing the same old thing. And maybe we expect different results, and it's not going to happen, right? Scientifically proven that if you keep doing something that doesn't work and doesn't work and doesn't work, guess what? In all likelihood, 99.9% probability that no matter how many times you try it, if you're doing the same thing using the same strategies, it is not going to work. And what we need to do then, of course, is to understand our clients' strategies. How are they doing what they're doing? What's the first thing they need to do? How are they managing to maintain the problem? How are they managing every morning to wake up and still be in that problem state? How are they managing every morning to wake up and still procrastinate, or to still overeat, or to still not exercise, or to still not take the action that they need to take to move their business forward? How do they remember to do that every day? Because everything, of course, is a choice. And it's really interesting because I think a lot of people, a lot of coaches don't delve deeply enough into what's going on inside their client's mind, into the interrelationship between all of these things, so that they end up working on a very surface level. And they end up prescribing tasks that in reality the client is never going to do, because they are not set up in a way that completely understands where the client's coming from, what they've tried before in the past, why those things haven't worked for them. You know, I've heard of clients, for example, who've been asked, they've got an issue. Say, for example, they come with a visibility issue and they say to their coach, I just can't get visible online. And the coach says to them, okay, that's really, really easy. All you need to do is go live 7 times in a row on Instagram or on Facebook. Just create a video, put it online. You know, it's not that hard. You just use your iPhone, then you upload it. The reality is, without knowing anything about the client, without knowing their behavioural preferences, for example, and maybe the client is highly introverted, the coach prescribes something that is a general prescription rather than a really specific prescription or a specific task for that client without really knowing them in depth. So your introverted client, your client who has a preference for introversion, a high preference for introverted behaviour, is never going to get online and do that in that way. And when we don't recognize that, what we do as a coach is we set ourselves up for failure and our clients up for failure, because we're not tuning into and leaning into their natural instincts, their natural tendencies, and their natural behavioral preferences. You know, you take the same client and you say to them, well, you know, what are you comfortable with doing online, and what have you done before? And how would it feel to pre-record on Zoom some videos? You can review them back. You can check that you're comfortable with them. And if we aim to record a couple this week, maybe post one, you see the difference? Like, you've got to go to where your client is. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you, so thank you for your support. Now back to the show. I think a lot of coaches don't have, not through want of trying and not through lack of desire to help people, because, you know, that's why we are coaches, right? Coaching is a calling. I firmly believe that. I believe that we go into coaching to help people achieve their goals and to realize their potential in life or business. But I think a lot of coaches just go in at the very surface level without going deeply enough to do the diagnostic work to fully understand all these different elements, you know, the thinking, the emoting, the behaving, the habits, the patterns, the strategies, the attitudes, the history of our clients, so that those things really help us, and they help to inform us as coaches as to the tools and techniques that are going to be most appropriate in a given situation to achieve a result. And, you know, that's what at the Mindset Coach Academy we focus on in depth with our students. You know, this week we've been having this live virtual retreat where we have been spending time on our diagnostic tools, and the revelations that have been happening, the aha moments that have been happening, and the way in which these coaches are excelling at recognizing patterns, asking great questions, diving beneath the surface so that they fully understand their clients is so powerful, you know. And I really want for you, if you're a coach listening to this, or if you're, if you're in business, or if you're just someone listening out of interest into coaching, I want you to really think about the complexity of yourself as a human being, right? You are complex. You are unique. You have a whole lot of different things going on in your life. You have 64,000 plus thoughts a day. You have behavioral preferences. You have a history. You have beliefs about yourself and the world around you. You have emotions that you feel every single day. And you are, and this is the thing, that in all of those dimensions, there is information that we as coaches need to gather so that we can best help our clients. If we don't know our clients, if we don't know what makes them tick and how they see themselves in the world, then we cannot really effectively help them and work with them to create this lasting change. And this is something I'm really, really passionate about. And so that's why in the Academy, we spend quite a while on the diagnostic, or the initial phases of the coaching relationship, to get into that granularity of, past history, of all of those things, because that understanding, that level of knowledge about our clients means that when we come to do the work, it is fast and it is effective and it is powerful, because we are working specifically with our client. All that information goes into our work, whether it's at the conscious level or whether it's at the unconscious level, through things like timeline therapy and hypnosis work that we do. So, if you are coaching, I want you to start to think about, well, how well do I know my clients? How deeply do I dive in and get that information? And how long do I spend on doing those things? And, our recognition at the Mindset Coach Academy for the importance of having a really effective suite of diagnostics has led us to create the Mindset Dimensions report. And this is an online psychometric style tool for coaches, for therapists, for psychologists, for corporates, that really enables you. It's a 30-minute questionnaire to get all of this information across 7 different mindset dimensions about your client, as the information that you have, that you can start with the foundations of that knowledge as a coach about your client. So it's been a year or so in the making, and we're about to launch, we're about to release it very, very soon. And the reason I'm so excited about it is that it's going to equip coaches with the ability to almost read their client's mindset and to save time with those lots and lots of interviews, etc., so that we get to the foundational information. And nothing replaces human interaction, right? So the questionnaire becomes the foundation for a deeper, further exploration of what's going on for the client. And it means as well that you've got this professional suite of diagnostics that you can share. It's over 70 pages long, the information that we gather. And it really provides that basis upon which you can begin to work. And I don't know about you, but I love a psychometric profile. I'm trained in so many of them, from DISC to Hogan to Myers-Briggs. And I've worked for a long time in organisations leading large-scale behaviour change and culture change programs. And to me, having that knowledge about someone's behaviour preference is so powerful as a coach. And that's something that is included with Mindset Dimensions. It's something we've deliberately added in. And it also then accompanies the work that we do in teaching and equipping our Mindset Coach certification students with the ability to do a conversational psychometric with their clients. So those two work really, really well hand in hand, because behavior actually drives results. It's behavior that drives performance. It's behavior that your clients demonstrate and engage in that is going to help them achieve their goals. We have a thought, we feel an emotion, we have an emotional response to it, and then that leads to action or inaction. And throughout our work as mindset coaches, we help our clients at all of those levels so that their behaviour is really conducive to them achieving their goals. So very, very powerful. So I want you to think about this week, how much do you actually know about your clients? How much do you know about their behaviour? And also, how much do you know about your own behaviour? Have you done any kind of psychometric profiling tests before? Maybe you've done a Cosmo quiz or two in your time. But how much do you actually take the time to look at the behaviours that really work for you? Lane, last week's episode, we talked about habits. And so this is a natural segue, of course, onto talking about behaviours and really reflecting on the things that work well for you in your business. And of course, we can recognise, whether someone is a more extroverted preference or a more introverted preference, whether someone is more prone to focusing on what they desire or moving away from what they don't desire. We can also recognise if someone is more, for example, on the thinking scale, on the thinking end of the spectrum versus on the feeling edge of the spectrum. And there are 20 different permutations of behaviour that we look at on the continuum. And what's really interesting is not the individual behaviours in and of themselves, but it's that complex combination of behaviours that drive the output, that drive the results for us and our clients. So this week, I want you to think about and pay attention to your behaviours in specific situations. I know that, a lot of us are in shadow behaviour mode at the moment, and that means how we behave when we are stressed or overwhelmed or unwell because we're in this global pandemic. And you may have noticed in yourself that your behaviours have changed. Maybe you're becoming more quick to temper. Maybe you are becoming more introverted. Maybe you are recognising that you do need much more external validation and feedback and recognition, and you're really craving that now because you're not able to be out there in the office or out there socialising as you usually would. So take the time over the next week just to journal on what you're noticing about your behaviours and how you're showing up in the world. And we're going to continue this exploration in next week's show. We're going to move on to looking, more in depth at the things that is really important for us to know about our client, because the more we know about our clients, the more effective we can be as coaches in helping them to achieve the results that they desire. I'll see you in next week's show. Bye for now. That wraps up this week's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. Remember to join us next week for another episode and subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Leave us a review if you've loved it, share it with your friends, and I really look forward to learning how you're implementing the tools and techniques that you're learning here. Mindset is everything.